He went to rehab 10 times, relapsed more than 10 times, and was homeless for 17 years. Join Garth and Natasha this Sunday as they reconnect with a familiar face and voice.
My name is Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen, and this is my story.
Don't miss this update on Sketch, in his own words, about how he's rebuilding his life without drugs and making the best use of his amazing talent. Also in studio will be social psychologist Maureen Bowen, who will shed light on how to cope with or manage an addicted loved one or relative. Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
This Sunday, on episode 27 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
Addiction is a chronic disease, and relapse is one of the devastating symptoms. Introduced to crack cocaine by a colleague while serving in the military, he went to prison 7 times. He went to rehab 10 times, relapsed more than 10 times, and was homeless for 17 years. Join Garth and Natasha this Sunday as they reconnect with a familiar face and voice.
My name is Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen, and this is my story.
Don't miss this update on Sketch, in his own words, about how he's rebuilding his life without drugs and making the best use of his amazing talent. Also in studio will be social psychologist Maureen Bowen, who will shed light on how to cope with or manage an addicted loved one or relative. Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
This Sunday, on episode 27 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
Addiction is a chronic disease, and relapse is one of the devastating symptoms. Introduced to crack cocaine by a colleague while serving in the military, he went to prison 7 times. He went to rehab 10 times, relapsed more than 10
Garth
times.
and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live, on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page, and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Eye on Dependency, right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and thank you for joining us on this very sunny, nice Sunday morning, as the weather was yesterday as well. And we have a very familiar face and person in studio with us, as well as an expert in the field who is going to share some information about addiction with you today. But more importantly, we are eager to catch up with Sketch. We've had a lot of feedback from the promo that has been playing all week. People want to hear where you are and how you're doing and what your journey has been like. So let's get into it, Garth.
Yes, and it's really a pleasure to have Sketch back in studio with us, folks. As you all know, it has been a very long journey with this brother. Mm-hmm. And in keeping the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking,
which was on the 26th of June.
Right. The United States Executive Director's message goes like this: drugs can cause illness and death, waste years of healthy life, and propagate violence, harm, and exploitation. Those who are affected by drug use disorders are not the perpetrators of these problems. They are the victims. According to UNODC's World Drug Report 2023, the latest data indicate that globally, 296 million people use drugs in a single year, while more than 39 million of them suffered from drug use disorders. On this International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, we are calling for drug responses that are rooted in empathy, built on science, and focused on people. People who suffer from drug use disorders but are blamed and stigmatized instead of receiving treatment and care. People who inject drugs are more likely to be living with HIV but face stigma, discrimination, and barriers to treatment. People who are imprisoned for minor drug offenses rather than being given a pathway to recovery and rehabilitation. People who are punished for resorting to illicit cultivation of drugs out of desperation instead of being offered alternatives for a sustainable livelihood. People who continue to suffer pain because of unequal availability of important medicines containing controlled substances. And people who are denied their rights, dignity, and opportunities in life because they use or have used drugs. Know about that? It is time to stigmatize the illicit drug market and not the people who are harmed by it. We need humane responses that discard outdated attitudes and focus on the health and well-being of people and communities affected by drugs. We need focused law enforcement interventions to stop drug traffickers from feeding on misery, as several drug types hit new production records and the threat of synthetic drugs expand rapidly. And we need to invest heavily in prevention, awareness raising, early interventions, and services to build the resilience of our communities. Today, let us stand together against the world drug problem and put people first. Very powerful message from the UNODC.
Indeed.
And he's so on point. They are so on point with this, especially the part about people who are denied their rights, dignity, and opportunities in life because they use or have used drugs. We have experienced that right here on our Dependency. 20 years, we made it by the grace of God and the understanding of a few people. I'm not kidding. And sometimes I wonder the people who try to stop our dependency from going forward, if they understand that they support the illicit and the abuse of drugs by doing so, because all we want to do is educate people. And this is what we have been doing over the years, biographies such as Sketches and others. And there are people out there whose children are suffering and feel that they cannot recover from drugs. And we are here to say this morning that it can happen. Don't give up, and you will hear from Ms. Bowen this morning, and of course, the man of the hour, Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Sheldon,
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure being here again. Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here once again, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to be of some purpose, to enlighten, the latest, as to what it is.
To give an update on your life too, as well.
Yeah.
And we say good morning to Ms. Lily Aiken and Mr. Robert Haddad and those folks at Hardcore.
Of course.
I'll tell you why later. Why we say morning to these folks? Because we have to give thanks where and praises where it's due.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, you're going to hear from Sketch. How has he been doing? We're going to go back a little bit to come forward, and then we have people you would not believe what this man has been up to. And we're thankful to have an opportunity to show you this morning. Sketch made some model planes that actually flew. They fly, they go Wallerfield. That's Wallerfield, right?
That's supposedly like the office. Don't go down Shogona side.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a flying field there.
Airfield?
Yeah,
right there?
yeah, airfield.
I didn't know that.
It's specifically made for RC planes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's a club. I forget the name of the club though. There's a name for the club.
Okay.
And I go there. But since COVID, I haven't been there.
Right.
It's been a while.
But Sketch made some planes, folks, and they actually took off. They take off, land, and Natasha put a compilation together that's a perfect example of what recovery is all about. So if you could join us on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, let's see what we're talking about. And then we go through his photo gallery, and a photo gallery of that Sketch did. And those of you who are listening as well, you have time. If you can find a portrait of what Sketch did for you, at that traffic light was his famous place by Mokrapa Road, the end of Mokrapa Road there. You can see if you can find it and post it on our Facebook page, Natasha.
Yes.
Tell them how they can do that, please.
Yes, you can take a photo of the sketch and post it on Eye on Dependency, and we will happily share it for the world to see.
Yes, he did one for Natasha and I, and if Natasha could take pictures of it.
We just posted that on our Facebook page. So if you go back to our page, you should see it up there.
Right. So it's on our Facebook page right now to see sketch what he did for the two sketches he did for Natasha, portraits he did for Natasha and I this morning.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. This boy is a genius. So let's take that quick break and we'll be back. Stay right there. You're listening to Dependency.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that look up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh, yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Bago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, all right. Don't drop the soap. Cheerio.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I 95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Yes, girl. I'm lying here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It's looking good, boy. I'm putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Every time I hear that ad, when your son calling from jail, I was out of trouble.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that look up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Bago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, alright. Don't drop the soap. Carry out.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Yes, girl. Online here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency, and we are going to jump right into our long-awaited interview with Mr. Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen.
And remember, folks, if you have a portrait that Sketch did for you, please feel free to post it on our Facebook page. We want to give him some strong support this morning. Yeah. And to those of you listening who are a friend, family member, or you still struggling with addiction, we're here to tell you this morning there is still hope. Sheldon, good morning once again, and thank you very much for agreeing to speak with us this morning. Let's go back a bit, right? Before you started using drugs, what was the life like before then?
Well, good morning, God, and yes, what life was like before I started using drugs, it was, I will say, hard. It was hard, but it had some direction. It had direction, not some. It had direction. You know, I most of my times was spent daydreaming when I get a chance. You know, I would always be daydreaming. Or
what was your family structure like, mother, father?
Honestly, so I mean, my mom was a nurse at first, and then she let go that job to stay home and see about my brothers and I, and eventually my two sisters. And my father was a member of the Defense Force, and he was mostly at work, you know, and she would be the one home. And if she's not home, well, we had a Venezuelan lady by the name of Linda. I can't remember her surname. Used to live in as a living caretaker for us, spend time with us. And growing up, I would always be thinking about, you know, making things and, doing craft work and artwork and things like that. And the reason I had to do that is because most of the time my parents couldn't afford the toys and things that I wanted. So I used to go and make my own toys. But
you made your own toys?
Yeah, I made my own toys. Yeah. Wow. But we used to get good toys sometimes from my mom's sister. Her name is Jean. She used to live in America. She used to send down toys for us in a barrel. And we would get some nice toys, remote control cars. We would get scale electric set. We would get the two robot punching out in the ring, you know. Mm-hmm. And we would get G.I. Joe and Big Jim, you know, things like that. And the times that we couldn't get toys, my mother would buy 4 Corgi Junior toy cars. You know, these small cars that is just roll.
Yes.
Yeah, she would buy that for us. She says, boys, that's all I could afford this Christmas, you know? And if we couldn't get that, she would buy 4 of them thing where it is blown up. When they blow, the thing they just unravel. Yes. And she look, that's all I could get all of. But, you know, I had some neighbors. I grew up mostly where they had white people, Chinese people, and Indian people. It hardly had any Negro people where I grew up. And my neighbors was white people, and the Pereiras, they was very, no, I must say wealthy, but they was well off. And their last child name was Dwight. And Dwight, you know, as any other typical white boy, you would have a lot of toy cars. You would have tractors, you would have airplanes, you have all sorts of toys. But the only time I could go there to play is when my mother and father not home. I used to jump the fence. He used to tell me, come over, and I used to play with his toys. But when time to leave, I would, had to, it's a sort of mission, Like when I hear my father car come in, he would tell me, well, you wait right there. I would tell him when they're going inside. And then I had to jump over his fence and then jump over my fence. So, but without my parents seeing me, because my parents knew I was next door playing with dry toys, licks. Anyhow, eventually I reached the stage where I developed a skill for building things. And my first car, I made it out of, I think it was a milk pan material, the tinning. I take a scissors and I cut the milk pan, and I made the side panels and the top. And I made I think it was a Chevrolet. Them long V8 engine, yeah. A Chevrolet with 4 wheels. And I put 2 batteries and a motor in the back wheel. And when I rest, I turn it on, and when I rest down, I see the car actually driving.
So that's how you developed that.
Yeah,
that passion.
From that point, battery operated things was my things.
No, you said your father was a member of the Defense Force.
Yeah.
You decided to join the Defense Force. What prompted that?
Well, seeing my father as a little child, I born seeing my father in uniform. And when I was about 6 or 7, he left the army. But before that, the years before that, I always seen him in his uniform, and I always wanted to put it on. When I get older, and I say when I get of age, I will become a soldier myself. But he was against that. When I was on my way to 18, well, I had already been working at the Express. I started working Express at a very tender age. I think I was 13 years, still going primary school. And I had my eyes set on the military. Even from that time, I had that mindset. But as I spoke, I had a talk with my father, and he told me not to do it. He said, I don't think that's a good idea. Because where I am at the Express is room for promotion eventually. He think I should stay with the Express. So by that time, he had left the military, and he went to work Skinner Marines. Yeah, Skinner Marines. That's our oil rig out on the Point Galeota.
Right, yeah.
So I saw an ad in the papers, they're looking for new recruits, and I told him about it. I said that they're looking to join the army. He said, well, I wouldn't be here when that batch going in, because I remember he particularly realized he wouldn't be home when that batch was in the January 84.
What do you mean he wasn't good? He was going to leave you?
No, he used to work 3 months on the sea.
Okay.
So I say it's a good thing he ain't gonna be homeboy, because as he gone, I go in and enlist. So when behind my father back, I went and enlist.
How did your mother feel about it?
My mother was glad. My mother was so happy. She wanted me to do what I want.
To follow in his footsteps.
Yeah. And I went down Tetra and enlist. And when he came home and he realized I'm not there, he said, "This boy." He was displeased, because he already have an idea, the type of, he already told me, and I remember these words specifically. He said, "Sheldon, you are too easily influenced. And best part here is at the Express, your colleagues, the work colleagues, just look out for you. It ain't going to be the same thing in the army." And I didn't really
That's
pay.
Interesting.
I never pay attention to that advice.
So let's touch on that quickly. You worked at the Express. What did you do with the Express?
At the Express, I started to work there as a paste-up artist. That is the making of the newspapers before it reached production. Before it reached the press. This is the production department where you actually put the pictures, the pages together. And in those days, it was a conventional sort of way. We had to cut the photographs, set it on a master sheet. We have columns, and everything have to go in a specific order. And eventually I was introduced to the Macintosh computer, but that was some years after. But in my first stint with the Express, I was a paste-up artist, and they pay you according to your skills. They have from A class, they're from C, A, B, and C class. And I was C class started out, then I became B, and then I became A. And it took me about 3 weeks to reach that level, because from the first time they gave me a already printed page that was used to how to put it? To transfer to another page, the same way it was. When they saw the way I did that, I got the job instantly, and I was about 13 or 14 years.
Wow.
So,
but still, you had even though you had demonstrated proficiency in this field,
yeah,
and it was, I guess, an outlet for your creative talents, you still decided you wanted to go to the military.
Yes, and as I turned 17, I went down to the base, and then they said they would call me. But then when they called, they say I'm too young. So they say come back next year. When I reached 18, I went and I sat the test. Right?
And so your father was not happy with this, and
No.
and as you just mentioned, he made a point about you being
he
easily
actually said that.
influenced
Yes, he
in
said
the
that.
military. This coming from a man who has been there, right?
Yep.
And I guess that didn't affect you until
Didn't know what he was talking about.
until you were introduced to drugs in the military. Is
Yes,
that it?
actually, because where I was at the Express, I used to work with Keith Smith, the then chief editor.
Yeah.
Keith Smith. I used to work with Charlene Gaspar Johnson. I used to work with Sheila Bolai, Ken Gordon, Malcolm Smith. And these is people that they directly work with me. And they always used to look out for me and make sure, Sheldon, we don't want this. And my supervisor, he's deceased now, may he rest in peace, Michael Willis, he used to, he was a sort of intellect, and he used to always put sense to me. And though, Keith used to, I don't know if I should say it, but he used to indulge in drugs and things like that. He would always tell me, I will never encourage you in this, Sheldon.
That Keith Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that, yes.
He told me that, he said, I will never have you partake with this thing, and I don't want you doing it. If I see you doing it, I will stop you. Because they know what it leads to, so... And I was sort of sheltered or under a kind of wing, a protection in the Express. And they always look out for me. The most they would encourage me in doing is drinking beers and smoking cigarettes. And before I was 16, I was drinking beers and smoking cigarettes and shooting pool. Because where the Express is, right next door to that bar, they call not too far, Hawk and Spit.
Hawk and Spit,
yes. Yes.
And we used to go by Hawk and Spit and shoot pool.
Yep.
Myself and my supervisor, Michael Willis, he would carry me there, Eric Julian.
The thing is, they didn't know your history, and they didn't know that actually smoking cigarette and drinking beers was a kind of gateway. Would have been a gateway for you.
Yeah, but they also used to tell me they don't want me going beyond that, So
when you got into the military now, what did you make of that environment, and tell us how you were introduced to harder substances in there?
This is it. At the Express, they used to have I would say little binges, but I myself would be present, but never encouraged. I would always be shunned. They would run me. They would say, "Boy, we can't encourage you around," and they would never encourage me. But the difference with the Express and the Army is that in the Army, I was actually beckoned one night. I was on Prowler Sentry in Point Lisas, Camp Point Lisas, and I had a rifle loaded, but it wasn't on the ready position. I'm just loaded with 20 rounds, and I had a bayonet on my in the scabbard, and the sergeant called me to his quarters. So I thought he was working me to get something for him or something, but actually what he wanted to do was introduce me to crack cocaine. Yeah, and he had a Zouch bottle with a lighter and this little white stuff, like a little square, like a little block, a little thing. They just call it a ball, right? And he asked me if I want to smoke. I said, I don't know. He said, first thing he asked me if I smoke. I said, yes, Sergeant, I smoke. But I didn't know what we were talking about. He said, you smoke weed? I said, yes, Sergeant, I smoke weed. Yeah, see, this here is cocaine, it's crack. You are smoking it? I said, no, I don't want that, ain't good. Yeah, well, let me show you something. And he put it to his mouth and hit the thing, and I was actually there to witness the smoke coming from the nozzle of the thing straight through to his mouth. If you understand what I'm saying. So I see.
Was that one of those miniature brandy bottles?
Yeah, brandy bottle.
Right.
And that mesmerized me when I see the way that smoke looking. You know, it looked kind of enticing. And then when he exhaled it now, the smell, I kind of take to the aroma instantly. I take to the smell. Yeah, well, the next one is for you. I put on the next one for you. So you see, come in and sit down. As the Shazza is the prowler sentry. You see, come in, just stay long. So I rest down my rifle, and I sat on the chair, and he put on the thing, and he gave me. He said, I will give you the fire, and you just have to pull. And he gave me the fire, and I pull. But as I exhale, when I was pulling, there was no problem, no. You see, as I exhale, instant, what you call symptoms overtake me. I started to search the ground one time. I actually went down on the ground with my hands and started to search on the ground for more of this stuff instantly. I could never figure that.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen. And what he's describing, he's not making this up, because it's the same way, the same sergeant, he was a corporal then, who introduced me to crack cocaine. Same way. He met me at the PTI quarters, called me outside, put me to sit in his car, and introduced it to me the very same way. I told him I wasn't using the Zouch bottle because I found it looked too nasty. So, but he made a black cigarette for me, and that was it. So Sheldon is really on point with this. And this person was credited for introducing crack cocaine to the Defense Force. We'll get into that a little later. But you're listening to Sheldon Aberdeen give his take on this journey. And this guy preyed on young soldiers. So right after that hit Sheldon, that was it, you were gone.
Yeah, that was it there. I started to hear channels, you know, cross-channeling, you know, a lot of voices, a lot of communication, like you're hearing people talking. And it was instant, what you call it, euphoria? Or,
Euphoria?
Yeah, euphoria, yeah. You know? And I started to feel sort of, you know, like alert. You know, like you're hearing everything. You hear like ants walking on the ground, you're hearing cockroaches, you're hearing everything, every fine song you could think about. My ears picking up on this. So. And he said, all right, Abbas, go ahead now. So I picked up my rifle, put it on my shoulders, and went out.
Sorry, Natasha, Ms. Bowen, and those of you listening, this man was so slick, that he knew the power of cocaine. He knew the power of crack cocaine. And the amount of sailors and soldiers that he introduced that to, he just gave you one hit, that is all, and tell you, all right, fix up. Because he knew the trap was sprung from then. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And I went outside. I had on a gold ring on my left hand that my girlfriend gave to me, my first girlfriend. And I had on a gold watch that she also gave to me for my birthday. Yeah, and the following day, I remember the pusherman and pawned that gold ring and that gold watch. The following day when I left camp, that's what happened. But that same night when I left there, when I left these quarters there, I wasn't Sheldon anymore. from that point on, I was addicted. I was somebody else. I was an addict instantly. Because the little money I had in my pocket, the shift I was working was a 2 to 4 shift. Like the dead man I was. And before I came off of guard duty, I remember going back and purchasing coke from the man. I had money in my pocket and I purchased more from him. Right? When I left camp, I didn't have more money, but I went down to Carolina, George, what it was. I was living bachelor those days. And I purchased more coke. And when my money run out, I take my watch and my ring and I pawn it. And I never get back that ring and that watch. Because I told the person who I pawned it back, coming back for it. And when I went back for that watch and that ring, that person wasn't there. I never saw the person again and never get back that ring and that watch. But from that point on, I was hooked. I
Sheldon,
was only,
let's just take a break.
Okay.
Because I see God is getting a little emotional. I want to bring in Miss Bowen to talk a little bit about what Sheldon described in terms of his childhood upbringing and how he was introduced to crack cocaine and how common a story is this in Trinidad and Tobago.
For those of you who are asking, the soldier eventually died. He was working for those people in Arima from Temple Street. I don't even want to call the name. But they were friends, and he had a ready-made market. And he felt that he knew the power of the drug. And he died under their house, literal vagrant, because he was eventually discharged too from the force.
Correct is right.
We'll take a break, right? We come back.
Correct is right.
Give me my phone.
What you doing taking them kind of pictures? I'll tell mommy.
And I'll tell her you invaded my privacy.
Privacy? When you send those pics, you lose all privacy. It's like setting up a billboard with your naked pics for the world to see.
Those pictures are for my boyfriend's eyes only, and he'll never do that to me.
Yes, he can, or one of his friends or family. Or someone can steal his phone. Nice. Sending naked pics can open you up to embarrassment for you, your family, and friends. You can be harassed by bullies. Your pics can be uploaded to websites and seen by everybody, even the wrong people, sex offenders. It can also affect you getting a good job in the future. Once those pictures go out, you can never get them back.
Okay, I'll tell my boyfriend to delete them, and I'll delete these. I'm glad I have a smart little sister.
I'm still telling mommy.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago, through the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons, continues to develop and implement effective policies and procedures to prevent and suppress human trafficking. To date, the National Task Force has developed 2 national plans of action against the crime of trafficking in persons. Trinidad and Tobago adopts a 4-pronged approach in its response to human trafficking. 1. Effective identification of victims and witnesses. 2. Prevention of human trafficking. 3. Protection of victims and witnesses. And 4. Prosecution of suspected traffickers. In the Ministry of National Security, we established a specialized unit called the Counter-Trafficking Unit to lead and manage Trinidad and Tobago's response to human trafficking. The Counter-Trafficking Unit works closely with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Immigration Division, and international law enforcement agencies to aggressively and proactively investigate and prosecute suspected human traffickers. Human trafficking is a serious crime. Rest assured, the government of Trinidad and Tobago and its agencies remain committed in the fight against human trafficking and will respond with immediate effect when the need arises.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Eye Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye Dependency, and we are speaking with Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen and Maureen Bowen, who's going to come in a short while. But we just wanted Sketch to finish that part of his journey in terms of his military service and how he was discharged, and then we'll cross to Miss Bowen to talk about addiction, how it starts, and the kind of perfect storm of circumstances that leads people to become addicted.
Yes, because in the next hour we want to open up the lines. We leave the lines open for you all, right? At least give you all 45 minutes to chat with Sheldon and give him some love and encouragement. And remember, if we had ever done a sketch for you, a portrait, you could feel free to post it on our Facebook page while we chatting with him this morning so that he can see it. Yeah. Sheldon, so you're serving, you're addicted. How did it affect your service now?
Well, I get a service no longer required discharge from the army, but I would say, being honest, they really tried to help because they took me to Cora, I run away. They took me to Mount St. Benedict, I run away. And after those two attempts, they called on orders because I was only absenting, right? And
you remember who was the chief of defense staff that time?
Ralph Brown, I think.
It's so ironic.
Yeah.
Because he listens to Independency, but this was in 84.
No, this was in 87.
Right.
Yeah.
In 82, they didn't know what hit them. They didn't have a clue, and they were just sending us home one by one. So you're lucky that they still tried to assist you.
Yeah, Major Bishop tried to help me too. Major Bishop, he ended up trying to help me too, and Monday too.
Colonel deceased Colonel Monday.
Monday tried to help me too. And Monday used to come and look for me down Tetron when I was in the cell doing my 42. Monday used to come and bring little food stuff for me, little snacks and things. Yeah, he used to come and look for me. You know, Lieutenant Spencer, Philip Spencer, he used to come and look for me too.
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, there's
the young boy, the young one.
Oh, who's the ambassador now in Washington D.C.?
Yes, yes.
Right.
The major.
Yeah, he's ambassador.
They used to call him Ben Chassis. Watch now, man. That boy was good, eh? I trained so little the fullest. I tell you.
Remember his father?
He was a Sanhos man, you know.
Right. Remember his father too was in Eagle.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. These men tried to help me, but they eventually happened to give me this discharge because I get in a fight with Scotty sometime after that. The same Sergeant Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they found me and I must have paraded my lips burn up. And I was after piping me the whole night now. And I just decided to let go. I see Sergeant Scotland give me this, you know, damn thing, and it brought up my mouth. But when I say that, the sergeant was the man inspecting the gardener. You know, the
yeah.
What you call it? When you're mountain gardener, when you're coming off
battalion or Lisa at that time.
Yeah, and Scotty, when he called for last Scotty, if that's true, what I say this. Scotty jacked me up, and when he jacked me up on the parade, on the muster. Yeah, right there, I got insubordinated him, and I hit my headbutt on the face, and they put me under out close arrest.
Okay.
And dumped me in a vehicle one time and carried me down Tetron. And the next day was a shotgun trial.
Yeah.
And with that, I get the final. That was the final. Yeah. You know. So. But before I did that last prison, is in that prison, I decided, you know what? If I'm going to do 42 days discharge, I have to enjoy that 42 days. So I ain't going in that cell without my ganja. So when the orders it finished, and they was taking me from the the office where the orders took place, to the guard booth, with the vehicle. I had on handcuffs, right? And they permitted to sit down right by the entrance with the police go up and come down. Right? Godzilla was sitting down behind you remember Godzilla?
Yes, Joseph, yes.
Right. The RP was sitting down right there. I said, Godzilla, take off the handcuff now. I ain't going to try nothing. So, Godzilla take off the handcuffs. So as he take off the handcuffs, I pretend when I relax, you know. I make like I just relax now. But where I'm sitting, Godzilla behind the desk. And I sit down by the entrance. Now they have the sentry who by the gate with the piece of thing in his hand.
The clipboard.
Yeah, the clipboard. I say, as he raise up that thing, if a vehicle come in, if anything coming or going, as he raise up that, I'm making a break for it. That went through my mind now. So said now a couple of minutes after he raised up that, and as he raised that outside, straight up along Circular Road, I escaped from Camp Park then. Right? I escaped up along Circular Road, and when I reached by Works there, just before I entered Bellevue Gate, you know, there was a ravine down the back?
Yeah.
I threw myself down in that ravine from wherever distance, how high it was. Lord. And landed on a big stone and hit my knee. Oh my God. And like, get weak for about 10 seconds, couldn't move. The pain now. And eventually crawl up in the bushes and went up the bay. Crawl up the river, you know. Wow. Reach up in the bay, reach up by the school. And when I reach up in the schoolyard, there it was, 2 RPs in a vehicle looking for me. The 2 RPs in the vehicle see me and draw the weapon, you know. I say, but that ain't stopping me. Because the mission I was on, I was looking to head straight up in the bay, up in the creek, to get the best ganja I have available. Yeah, right? In those days, you used to get purebred ganja. You understand? Pure red beard Santa Mata telling you about. Right? So I went and get my weed. Right? They didn't catch me. They tried to hold me. When he snatched me, the applet come off. My applet, he hold my applet there because I run straight towards him. And as I was passing, he snatched. I forget the RP name by Red Man, but I forget his name, boy.
Yeah.
No, and it wasn't Wiggins neither. Wiggins was in the bounty hunter. He said he always he used to send him for me all the time, but he never catch me. But this one put the hand on me, right? And the applet burst off, and that's how I get away. And reach down on the next side, the bay side, and crawl in a building. You know the condos it had right there next to the Nazarene church. It had some condos there. The side that wasn't occupied, I crawl in under a table there, and the jeep come down the road, pull up there, and come up the steps looking for me. But I right under the sink in the abandoned building, and I seen the RP shadow casting on the ground, by which what I was done. I said, but I just hope he ain't come inside of here. But the man, he decided he ain't climbing in there. But he didn't know which what I want, But he looked inside and like he didn't see me. But I seen his shadow watching. Because I under the sink right with the window above the sink. Is there he looking and I only the sink right there. But he casting right. I seen his shadow casting on the wall.
Right.
Yeah. So he eventually gave up the search, and as he gave up the search, I stay below the sink there. I go stay put until the coast clear. I fall to sleep on the day. When I wake up, it was about 4 o'clock, going for 5. I said, right, this is a good time. I get up and I smelling like that, because on the day was real stink. The place was, them abandoned building, now they be stink. So I went home, I was in uniform, half uniform, because I'm missing my belt and my beret. Because when the place is under arrest, you don't have them things.
Yeah, take your belt.
So I have on my boots, my pants, my shirt, but no belt or no beret. So I get up, I crawl out the building, and I went home. Jump the fence, gone in the yard. I see my sister sit down in the gallery drinking a cup of tea. So she asked me, well, what is going on? I said, well, don't worry about that, if anybody come to ask me. While I telling my sister that, I lie down on the ground, I hear the jeep come around the corner. They come straight in front of the house. I tell my sister, don't give me my position, right? Tell them you ain't see me. So the RP van pack up in front of the house and they're asking my sister now if they see me. But I lie down on the ground now in the gallery, when my sister sit down eating, drinking she tea or whatever it is, and I tell she, I don't choose work, then she hush him out, right? Keep quiet. So she act it off real nice, you know, like if I wasn't there, cause the 2 RPs in the vehicle can't see me, right? But I right there, and I hear them asking, she be your brother. She says he's not here. So as the when the reverse and the ride out, she says, Sheldon, you see what make me do there? Make me lie for you. Make sure you organize yourself and you go down in the camp tomorrow. If not, I said go call them for you. You know? That was tell me. I said, right. So I went inside, I threw my clothes in the machine, and I changed, I print CVs, I put some CVs, I put a hat, them summers, I put on summers and a leather jacket and a jeans, and I went up D-Bay. Take a cool stroll up D-Bay. Yeah, with my Converse All-Stars on my foot. Them days Converse Converse ringing like that. And I went and buy $100 in weed. Can't remember where I get the $100 from. But I buy the ganja and I come back home and I had a big boom box. AY, AWAI, you know them? Yeah, double speaker. It was 80 watts, 40 watts per channel, 81, nice boombox. I pack a nice bag, short pants, deodorant, this, that, and this boombox. I unscrew the speaker back and stash the weed in the speaker box. Oh, Lord. And the next day, first thing, early, the next morning, I went in and gave up myself in the camp. But they may know the weed inside the tape, the boombox. So they say, you come to give up it? I say, yeah. They say, all right. Touch on one time, because remember the keys are done call already, and I don't answer, and I don't get sentence already. So they search me, they search everything, but they ain't open the speaker.
Of course. So
the weed end up down in Tetron with me. I go on down in the Tetron, the correction center there, and was in the last cell, the solitary confinement cell, where they just keep. Yeah. And locking myself in there. So I have my boombox, right? So I could listen to music, all I have my cassettes, and I have my weed.
So you eventually got discharged?
So yeah, so the what I think somehow I get a remission, you know. I'd gotten a remission. Because as a prisoner, I was well behaved as a prisoner. And they even gave me model prisoner. They gave me the model prisoner type thing, because I used to do anything they say do, right? But following the remission, as they let me loose, I go on again, absent. And that is how they end up really busting my throat.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen. Most of you may know him, be familiar with him. He was that character who stood at the traffic lights at the end of Mokrapa Road and would draw you before the light changed. A perfect portrait, almost. He was that good. He's here now, and you've seen him on the street. You saw the advertisement that where he came from, and shortly when you get time, you will play that again for those of you who just joined, because you'll see where he came from to now. So we can speak to Ms. Bowen now and let her get in some of what you, the parent who are there listening, you, the addict who listening, you still struggling, could understand what this addiction thing is all about and how you can deal with it. Ms. Bowen?
Yes, thank you very much for having me here today. Listening to Sheldon, I too am getting flashbacks, and I always tell people that people like to say about, specialists, but in this area, we are all workers in the vineyard. I have never seen myself as any professional or specialist, because the thing about it is that addiction affects not only the person who's using, but also the family members. And I got into addiction in a serious order because I had a brother who was addicted to cocaine from the age of 17. St. Mary's student, went there at age 10, Island School winner. He was also someone who could sing like a canary. I mean, wonderful. He also won a lot of awards and accolades and stuff like that. Very, very talented, very intelligent. He worked in the government service for many years, and luckily for him and for me, we were both in the government service together, so I was able to initiate him going into treatment, and like Sheldon, very creative, he left, and ultimately I was able to work to get him to leave the service, but he was able to get his pension and those kinds of things, right? So he was my introduction to addiction, yeah? So for me,
it's close to home.
And the thing about it is, as I say, a lot of it was really to, not to manage him or to really get him to modify his behavior, but to understand, because we use the same strategies as most parents and siblings, are fed up, are tired, we're doing everything for you. Or in my case, I was a big enabler for a long time, so that everybody knew me as, they used to call him Papa Lee. He's Ian Bowen. And he's now deceased. I found him dead. So I worked with him from 17 to 60. I found him dead. And it is because he never stopped. To me, he didn't even diminish. And also the thing about it is that a lot of people would look at me and say, well, you are quote unquote a content specialist, but you can't help your own. And that is something that people have to come to terms with, the reality that we all have addictive profiles and addictive personalities. When you talk about addiction in a real sense, you have to understand how the brain works, because it's a chronic illness. It's a chronic illness that affects the brain and affects your nervous system, right? And it affects that part of the brain that is treating with reasoning and logic and choices and decision making. And if you look at your behavior over time, and you look at all of us, you see that we are all impaired. What is different is our drug of choice. So I want to put that on the table today to say, listen, this thing is treatable, but it's not curable. And we have to continue to work. And I say we, not from the point of view only of we who work in this vocation, because there's not a profession, there's a vocation, because they're dealing with human beings and everybody different and everybody special, right? But one of the things that we have to recognize is our limitations as well, because it's very easy to look at Sheldon and label him and to say woulda, coulda, shoulda, or even you've known me for years, and I've never changed my step in terms, and I've worked in the prison, I've worked in the defense force as a psychologist, so I mean, what I'm hearing here is not something that is immune to me, but it makes me shudder to think that we don't spend more time doing education and awareness and also recognizing that it can happen to anybody.
So for the people who are listening to us and they have a relative or a friend, because I see one or two people right now on Facebook especially, and who are familiar with people who they love dearly, who are addicted to crack cocaine, and try as they may, they cannot get them to stop. Sheldon will tell you he spent 17 years on the streets. He relapsed more times than he can count. What drives a person to this limit that seems to be never ending?
Right. So what happens with the use of excessive drugs is simply this. We have a system, a hormonal system in our brain, and it's called dopamine. Dopamine is our happy place, right? And we have different ways of triggering our dopamine system, yeah? So, for example, with me for many years, to feel good about myself, I would eat and overeat. And that's a legal, legitimate kind of situation. So nobody's looking at that and saying, well, something is wrong with me. But I would hear people say that you need to watch that because in the family there's the propensity towards diabetes and heart problem. And I mean, it's not only propensity. I buried my parents as a result and my grandparents and stuff. But once that trigger is ignited, what happens is that you want more and more and more and more. And what it does is that the nervous system becomes so erratic that after a while, the dopamine shuts down. And for you to be able to trigger and activate that happiness in you, you go searching and you have to get a fix and you go to your drug of choice. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what we tend to do, and that's where you will hear in addiction, they say one is too many and a thousand is not enough. That is where that comes from. I don't think a lot of people recognize it. The root of that. The root of that is simply that once you activate that, your hormonal dopamine system, and that system is shut down because of the abuse. And so you want to feel a particular way. Because remember, too, that when your dopamine system is shut down, you become nervous, irritable, sad, unhappy, distressed, depressed. There are a number of things. And the body now needs to find a way to help you to cope and compensate with that. And the only thing that you know that will give you that sense of leveling out or that sense of quiet and peace is to use the substance. But the thing about the substance is so insidious that high that you are trying to recapture from your first experience with it, it will never happen again.
Now, we're speaking about mental ill health in a family.
Yeah.
And there are some people who their child just starts smoking marijuana.
Right.
And as Sheldon would describe it, they start hearing a radio station in their head.
Right.
And they start hearing voices and they start having psychotic episodes.
Right.
Could you explain to people out there, please, how important it is to know if you have mental ill health in your family and what you can say to your children?
Right. So what you're talking about there, Kat and Natasha, is about developmental issues, right? Because if you started to use substances before the age of 25, that's the area, that's the window in which the brain is being developed. And if the brain is developed with a dependency towards a substance, then what happens is that the brain will only recognize any kind of behavior or interaction as long as it gets what it needs. So that for a lot of people who are speaking to young adults, and you see the dichotomy with this whole situation is simply this. The way that marijuana is sold is, and I mean sold being marketed, is that for a lot of people it does them nothing, right? Or so it is said. And just like alcohol, they say it does them nothing. But one of the things that I have seen in my practice over the years is that is a creeper. So that you will find that with alcohol and marijuana, you could have used that for 20, 30, 40 years and nothing happened. But then by age 40 and 45, you start having the mental health challenges being extreme, as well as you have the medical challenges. So then you start having kidney, liver, heart, colon, spleen, everything. And breaking down. And you think that, okay, that is only because of your age and your gender and your ethnicity or even maybe genetics, because genetics play a major role in a lot of addiction, because in my family, alcohol was the drug of choice. What my brothers did was step up to marijuana and ultimately step up to cocaine. So it's all about, where do you start? And that's why we try to, I always tell people that we try to sell abstinence, but you can't sell abstinence when you're speaking about a human being. You have to sell education and awareness.
That's right.
You have to sell a sense of consciousness, and you have to also sell the fact that you have to look at the history and your genealogy and decide what it is you want to do for you, and also be aware of what are the consequences should you choose, because that's the other thing about substance use, is a choice. Everything that we do is a choice.
But we talk about peer pressure, though. There's something that Sheldon and I experienced, which is the peer pressure. And we were both under 25.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't 25 yet. You weren't 25 yet, I think, when you were introduced by Scott to drug life.
I was 19.
Right.
But I want to say that is not peer. It may not only be peer pressure, but it would also have to do with environment, right? Because when you look at your parenting and when you look at accessibility and availability of substances, because let me tell you, a lot of parents look at their children, but do they look at the fact that when you were small, they would give you a little, at Christmas time, they give you something to drink and say, just take a little bit of that. Not recognizing how it's igniting your, igniting addiction, because what it's doing is it's awakening your dopamine cells, right? And what did a lot of people do? A lot of people would eventually put water in the bottle and drink it out. They get creative because you now have developed a need. A lot of people would then decide that they would hide and go elsewhere. When you send your children on a Sunday when the shop closes, and you send them to buy the rum across the counter, and they coming home with that, you already teaching a behavior. So by the time you turn around, they don't need your permission. You've already taught that this is the way that you are going to survive around this. So and also you certify the insanity by saying that it's okay. So now you want to say it's not okay because it's in the public space, and also because of guilt and shame and blame. But when you're doing parenting, there's no manual, and what you have to do is learn from your experiences, but certainly recognize that you make a child, you don't make their mind.
Now, Sheldon, you because of your uncle and father's use in front of you, you said that you think could have helped you as well?
Most definitely, yeah. Because I had 3 brothers, right? Before I had 2 sisters, and not one of them, not one, pick up a cigarette, you know. And my father, he used to, he was a weed smoker. Father used to smoke weed. My uncles, they used to smoke weed and drink alcohol. But my brothers and them never mimic them. But you know, somebody had to get it, it had to be me. And I used to actually adore the way I used to watch my father put this thing in his mouth, pull it. And while he talking, you see the little smoke coming up while he talking. I used to say, boy, I have to learn to do that, boy. That's part of being a macho man, you know? That's part of being a man, smoking a cigarette, you know? I had to learn that. And my mother always used to tell me, you too fresh up, you want to be a man too fast. And I used to get relics for trying to be, walking like a gangster, you know, with your 2 hands swinging, trying your bouncing. All them traits is things you have to observe is on becoming an addict. It's traits of a person on becoming an addict because it looks like it's a certain breed of people it is attack.
No, I just want to say, well, Jillian is from North Central Region. She's now at CCC, says hello. Yeah, and your bad Sean, John, and Koshi also sends their regards.
Yeah, man, my brethren, yeah, man, strength and
also
power.
there's a gentleman by the name of Raymond Boyce who wants to get in touch with you.
Raymond Boyce, that is a good one, yeah. We grew up together.
Schoolmate, yes. He sent a phone number, so we'll share it with you.
Okay, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Right now, Sheldon, because again, I'm seeing where we're going to run out of time, you know, and we're going to have to do our part with you because we want people, and this helps too because we want to put that public pressure on you now. Look at him, folks. If you could see him from the camera, from your Facebook or YouTube channel,
watch him good.
Watch him carefully. Watch what he looks like now.
Make him out.
And make sure that you know everywhere he turn you call him. Sheldon, I heard you on the radio, so we keep an eye on you because Sheldon, you have a lot of people out there rooting for you. They know the talented guy you are. You have done hundreds of portraits for people around Trinidad and Tobago, and that homelessness, what drove you to the streets? Because you spent 17 years and you were famous in St. James especially. What drove you to the streets?
But actually, I tell you, after my first bout with this cocaine, at 21 I was an ex-soldier, an ex-family member. I was vagrant. My mother put me out because I was only jumping the fence. Later was the night when all the other members in the house sleeping. I get up and unlocking the door. And going to buy the drug and leaving the door open. And at night they catch me. They find the door open and I not inside. So I exposing the rest of my family to that and they promote. So I had a suitcase and I put all my things, all my army. If you see army pictures, I had army pictures of me in Signal Hill, army pictures of me as a recruit, and all these pictures I had of me in uniform and with my badge and all these things went in the suitcase with me on the street, and I decided to go down PTSD down Independence Square there, and sleep in a bus, and a park bus, like somebody was marking me because when I get up the suitcase wasn't there. And all the pictures went with it. Oh, wow. That one hurt me when I tell you that one. That hurt me like that. That hurt me, boy. All my nice army pictures gone. And
And you know, that would have been probably another addict too.
All of that.
Yeah.
All of that. So, from that point on, at age of 21, vagrant, destitute, I get kind of accustomed to the vagrant life, you know. And my mother never let me come back home until my twin brother died. I had a twin. I'm a half of a twin. I am the remaining half of a twin. My other twin died, you know. And when he died, my mom called, send people out for me. And I was 23 years old at the time. And
how did your twin die?
My twin, he was actually murdered. He was an altercation with my elder brother, who was also a soldier. And that brother of mine and my twin, they had this terrible fight, and my twin ended up dying in that fight.
Okay.
And my mom called me back home, and she told me the only way I could stay home in this house is if I stop smoking and stay in the house. If you catch me outside smoking one time, back on the streets. And I behaved myself for 12 months. I stayed home I remember when I was 24 years old, I left my mother's house. Because at that age, the Express sent somebody home to me or something like that, and they gave me back my job, and I went back at the Express. And I spent, I think, 8 more years at the Express from 24 to 37. I worked at the Express. And between that time, I met a girl, and we started a family, and she gave me 3 sons. And just as I was about to have my daughter, I went back on the drug. So she had no choice, because I started to sell everything in the house. Sell everything in the house, stove, fridge, everything. So she went to the court, and the court gave me a restraining order. So when my daughter was born, that was the first and the last I could have seen of my daughter before full vagrant. And the next time I saw my daughter was 16 years old. And my sons had already grown up, you know. And I tell you, all I have is regrets, you know. All I have is regrets, because that same thing that I did there, being a delinquent parent or father, is something I always used to root against. I used to hate to see mothers walking the streets with just the child and no father. I always hated that. I didn't like to see that at all. I find that so cruel and so unforgivable. And yet I fall victim the same time. I ain't gonna say victim, I do the same nonsense. I leave my wife to fend for 5 children. Right?
Sheldon, what was the trigger for your relapse?
Well, what happened, while I was at the Express, things was good. You know, I was the sole breadwinner, and my wife and I run into some problems when they sent me home. They sent me and a lot of other workers home. They don't downsizing, because when I went back to the Express, so I went back to do pasta parties. That was in 88 or something. And I was, while I was being at pasta parties, they say, you're going on, computers come to take over here now. All you have to forget the pasta parties and learn to be graphic artists. And I thought I could have never learned to use that thing they call the computer, the Macintosh. And I eventually mastered the computer. And that's how I ended up staying on at the Express. And the production department didn't need pasta parties again. So, but they gave me a transfer from the production department to the traffic department. That's where we handling ads, classified ads. And I became a graphic artist sitting down behind a Macintosh computer from 8 to 4, right? And I used to handle classifieds. And eventually, that department didn't have use for so much graphic artists either, because the computer taking over the work so they had no use for all that manpower. So they send me home. But when they send me home now, our next department, this is the process department where they're developing the pictures, photographs, in the dark room. They send for me. And I started to work freelance now. But that was when they called me. That wasn't permanent. And then eventually now they stopped that and all because the man who was the supervisor, they gave the work to, so they had to pay an extra man again, and I never got a job. And when I was jobless, I spent most of that time looking for jobs. I sometimes leave my wife and go to Bago, right? And draw portraits on Turtle Beach. I used to make a lot of money. I used to make something like $500 a day. Because I used to draw one portrait for 20 US. One portrait, and I used to draw about 20 portraits a day. So I used to send them a lot of money. But then, that was just in August. What about the rest of the months when the 2 years gone back? Totally be slow down. I had to come back home. When I come back home now, can't get work. My wife had to go and look for servant work. You know, so she used to do servant work and thing, and whenever a little money she used to bring it to me and put a little plate of food on the table for the boys and them, you know. But that life gave me frustrated, and a day I just couldn't take it no more. And just decided, I just tell she I go on, you know, I go on. And I walk out and see, you know.
I'm going to live on the streets.
Yeah, went on the streets.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and I'm going to make an executive decision here, Natasha.
Okay.
We cannot do this in one sitting, and because Sheldon still has to talk about the 17 years he spent on the street.
Yep.
So what we'll do, we take a break, and we just have to shift around the program a bit going forward. So next week Sunday we'll have part 2 of Sheldon in studio, because we want to tie your interview in with the Special Investigations Unit, the SIU, because they're going to come after you and talk about drugs and run down the list of drugs for parents and children especially to see, and we want that to happen as well. So what we'll do, we'll take a break, folks, and when we return, we're going to show you the planes that Sheldon built and they managed to get off the ground. And we're going to also show you, Shortman, I want you to play over that video again, the promo video, to show people who is online here now, where Sheldon started. I took this picture of Natasha on Mokrapa Road when we were coming to do Dependency one Sunday evening.
That was around 2008 or 9.
Sheldon was a total, complete vagrant then. I mean, you could smell him through the camera. You could actually smell him through the picture.
And he was posing, you know.
And he posed for the picture too. Listen, you will see what I'm talking about.
It's the picture on the extreme left.
Yes, the picture, the first picture, you will see Sheldon as a vagrant. Right? And we have a lot of soldiers online this morning, Sheldon giving you a lot of hope and strength. So next week, we'll have Sheldon and Miss Bowen back to continue this, because we know there are a lot of you out there clamoring for this information, but still wondering if your addict can stop. If Sheldon Aberdeen could stop using crack cocaine, anyone can. You just have to try as hard as him, because he will tell you how many times he relapsed. He could even lost count of how many times he relapsed. Those of you on YouTube, we ask you to, while you're there, to like and subscribe. Marcia Gil Pusad said, "Hi Sheldon, your friend from Carnage who works in QREP." You should know who that is. Linda Howard, as a parent, my heart hurts hearing how he was introduced to this drug. Or, speaking of Howard, James from Arima, I would like you to join this conversation at some point too, to give your side, because James is the chairman of that NA group in Arima Boys RC. Every Saturday he has that group up there. James, good morning to you. Shortman, let's take that break. And our morning, Renee Cummings, thank you very much for joining us. Sheldon model planes are exceptional. Well, we'll show you that when we return.
Before we do,
yes.
Anthony Brown on Facebook has mentioned another former soldier by the name of
Noriega,
who is on the street in Arima currently.
Yeah. And there are more, you know. There are more.
And again, we have to thank corporate responsible citizens like HADCO and the HADCO group of companies
Of course. Yes.
for taking up the mantle, because it's not easy managing an addict, and it's not easy lending that kind of support in a territory where it's just so unknown, and relapse forms part of the profile. Because God, I just wanted to spend 2 minutes to talk about that whole thing about relapse, because you know, a lot of people say that you choose to relapse, and I disagree, because I think what happens is that the stress of trying to do the right thing becomes insurmountable, and that in a lot of instances, if you don't change those deep-seated destructive type of behaviors that you had, and in a lot of instances, not even change, but modify those behaviors, right, by choosing difference in people, places, and things. And that is not easy when you live in the tropics. It's not easy when you are accustomed to walking a certain road and being among certain people, and it's not easy when people don't allow you to forget where you came from. Okay, so it becomes very difficult, and I always look at relapse as an opportunity to get back on track.
I'd like to say good morning to Mr. Robert Haddad, and I would like to say that may God shower all the blessings on you and your group of companies to keep you strong, sir, especially for what you've done. For not Sheldon alone, I know of another person too, but we won't go into that because we haven't got put permission from him to tell it. But see Sheldon Aberdeen here, at least 4 times they put Sheldon in. Sheldon sold everything and moved out. Sheldon sold, he relapsed, and we talk about that next week, please God. Let's take that break, and when we return, we'll show you Sheldon in action with those planes that he built, and some of the art that he did, that this man said, he told us this morning, he built out of paper. Model cars and toy soldiers and ships and all these things. This person sitting right in studio here next to us did with his bare hands. Sheldon could be a millionaire in Trinidad and Tobago tomorrow if he wants. Let's take that break. Here's the break you're going to take short, man. Just play the promo. The video promo from her, please. Let people see what Sheldon looked like when we took that picture. And just look at where Sheldon came from. As I said, we were coming to do our Independency one Sunday, and we saw him on Mokrapo Road. I said, Natasha, stop. Let me take a picture of this Sheldon, because I think that was then I mean, I couldn't describe the look, Sheldon. Just harassed. Yes. Harassed. I tell you could have smelled your picture. Simon Myers is the same person. He is very talented. It used to break my heart to see him out on the street. And then we had to talk about the St. James Police too, how the St. James Police treated you.
What? The St. James precinct was the best.
St. James Police. Short man, where are you?
2014, 15, 16, 17. They used to treat me different, you know. They used to treat me good because we had a good relationship.
Yeah. We want to take some calls for you. So let's, Shortman, just play the promo video for me, please. Hinkson, Boris, wherever you are, let's get this done, please. And then we go to the video that Natasha provided. That video you can find at A and the Model Planes. It's titled Model Planes.
And there was, can I say, there was an officer there by the name of Bayer.
Yes, tell us about St. James Police.
Bayer used to try with me. You hear? Until one night he said, I ain't trying no more. Here working on artists. I carry it down because I catch you red-handed. And he catch me.
Catch you doing what?
But a zoosh, no rest on a whole 20 on the top of the thing. So when he pull up and he watching me so with the driver now, they just watching me so under the glasses. I say, officer, let me just bust the shot before you tie me down. He said, man, look, the pull-out gun, and then they say, man, look, man, come, inside. I had to jump in. You know, when I come out from the prison 3 months later, fat and wrong and nice, and I'm going right back on his body. They say, but you going back again, but you know. But that same officer, he really was good to me. He used to bring Sunday food for me, himself and another officer by the name of Khan. I don't know if you're hearing that.
Yeah. And then there was a lady, a police officer, who used to
Yes,
come and sing to
this
you.
lady, a nice red-skinned lady, she used to come and sing for me.
This Sunday on episode 27 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
Oh, you can't.
Addiction.
But yes, look how Sheldon look. Right.
Okay.
Look at the picture on the left, folks.
Extreme left.
Extreme left. This is what Sheldon looked like when I took that picture that day. I will never forget that. I mean, I before I came out the car one and I said, I wonder what mood he in, boy. I wonder if you go attack me this Sunday. All that, that's how you look, you know, Sheldon.
Yeah.
Look, Kurt Harrison, thank you very much, Batch, for joining us. And that's how you look, you know, Sheldon. And you should save this picture because it reminds you, this is your rearview mirror, that picture. To look back at that, anytime you decide to relapse again, look back at that. And Chris and Derek at Silver Star.
Chris and Derek.
Don't forget them.
Yes.
We on the yesterday?
Yeah, we on the yesterday.
Well, here, you see that Chris and Derek?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned they right now. I just want to tell them, President, they don't mind I cost all on them when I bust my shot and I catch it. I real check for you. And nothing can come between all and me.
Nah, them good brothers.
Just tell them that them real help me, but Chris and Derek real.
See, Derek and Chris
Real
at
hold
Silver
out for
Star,
me, boy.
folks.
Yeah.
Very genuine brothers.
Genuine
brothers. They can't get more genuine than
Nah,
that. These guys.
And mileage mark and signposts and all them fellas them was real good to me, you know. On McGrath Road, and Horizons Art Shop.
Right.
These people was real kind to me right through. But one way, they never change. They never show me a bad face.
Right, short man. So show us the video now. Let's go to the model planes, folks. Let's see. Look at what Sheldon did with his hands, and this is a perfect analogy, as Natasha pointed out, of what relapse and So here. Let's go to the video. It's a plane walking out on the runway with the first aircraft.
This aircraft was built out of metal, printing plates. That's metal.
Printing plates?
Yeah, that's printing plates. That was a printing news the expressway.
You think they give it there?
No, they give me they give me that. They give me that. This model is a World War II model called the Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Right? It was a fighter that had the biggest radial engine out of all other fighters.
Okay.
But it used to drink too much gas, so it
And
couldn't
how do
escort
you,
the
Sheldon,
bombers.
where do you get the, how do you start? How you start to
Just
build
now,
a
Natasha,
model
let's watch the
plane like
video
this?
first, right?
Because
But take us off mic. Just not, let people hear what's going on here, right? And for those of you on radio, this is his first aircraft that took to the sky.
That was Ari.
Right, test flight. It's how slow it can fly there, right? But it not staying in the air once you get throttle back. It want to come down.
Oh.
Because it's too heavy. That was 9 pounds.
Yeah.
So when you bring into land, you didn't keep the power up. You just try to idle back and it drop a wing.
Larry, second.
What is landing, folks?
You drop a wing because the power. You see? Drop the wing.
Right.
But the real planes is the same thing.
But you have to try and...
You have to maintain the power.
Right.
On the
So look, the second plane going to take off now, folks. So those of you on radio, the second plane is going to take to the skies. Gary?
Land him.
Take your time, Larry, take your time.
So now this is the third plane now.
Rescue plane. It's an amphibious. It can land in, this one could both land on water and on land.
Oh, this one going with speed, boy.
Yeah, that is the maiden flight. But what happened with that maiden flight? The fuel tank was too small, and it had a big engine in front of the oil gas called the Fox 40 that run out of gas on it.
So this is one that crashed?
That this crash also.
Pull back.
Right. So folks, the plane trying
They run out of gas, ready.
They run out of gas and
engine
then
cut.
Right, and it just dropped like a potato. Put up. Right, in the grass.
That was about 11 pounds, that plane.
Right. No, this is another one.
Yeah, this is a Sopwith Camel, a World War I fighter of the British Royal Air Force. that I designed and built, and it was working with an electric engine that overheat because the responder, or the thing that is responsible for breaking down the current, overheat. So it automatically switch off the engine.
Right, so this one didn't make it either.
It didn't land. It crashed in the bush.
This one crashed in the bush as well.
Yeah.
Folks, what we're showing you here is trial and error. And we kind of equating this to Sheldon's recovery and his journey. Somebody asked about Garth Allen, another soldier. I have no idea what happened to Garth. Like, this one crashed in the bush. No. This is the one.
This is another Thunderbolt that is made of baking pan.
Baking pan?
Yeah, but you know the disposable baking pan, the aluminum baking pan, the penny oven.
Right. You make out of that.
That's what I cover it with.
Gary, take us off. Let's hear this engine roar here now.
Out of the runway, yeah?
Ready?
Yeah.
Nice. Now this flight here, folks, is a successful flight. This is the recovery road that Sheldon is on now, where he's going to stick the landing. And we hope to God that he sticks the landing in his life this time, as this aircraft he created here did. So here it is. They're testing it again, and they're going for another pass, another fly pass before it comes into a smooth landing. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. We are celebrating Sheldon Sketch Aberdeen here this morning on Dependency. You all would be familiar with Sheldon. You all met him many times at the traffic lights and various places where he's jumping for joy that this one landed. Folks, this is amazing. Let's take your call, 622-3937. Ms. Bowen, you have to give us another Sunday, if you can. We'll appreciate it, because we want you to help the families out there understand addiction. We want Sheldon to help families understand that people can recover. Yes. Just don't give up on them. Some just take longer than others. Yeah, right? I went through rehabs myself.
And relapse is a symptom of
part
the disease.
of the profile.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
It is.
It's prison that really turned me. When I went inside prison, I realized, nah, this is not for me. I good.
Yeah, because if it stayed there, it would have plenty more that coming.
But you telling me I know where to get the biggest rock in prison.
You understand?
And first, the men in prison, they chain you up. You know, is always have a man in the bar, in the back room, but in the dormitory, who just hold court every night. Mm-hmm. Somebody who always know everything.
Yeah.
And at night, this man asked me, so there, we used to buy your cocaine. I said, boy, can't. He said, well, you're a stupid man over Nelson Street. That's some big ones, and the man do so. Big ones, so. Yeah, why tell it myself, boy? That's a real idiot, boy. I waste all that time in Carnage when I go Nelson Street.
That is the thing yourself. You're correct.
Not me. I let that go to one and I come out the next one. I didn't fall for that.
Yes, Clayton. No. How the two of you sound the same. That is so true.
What is that?
The two of you. It's very similar to when you talk about the escape, how you escaped from Tetron. It reminded me of your escape from Port of Spain.
From the hospital.
You understand?
Yeah, I tried to run over the Higgy, but it had 2 war dogs in it. So I changed my mind. Just as Sheldon, I swear to God, I fake a sick in the guard room and tell them come in near my room. And here was the plan. The plan was to bust on them and run up the Higgy.
Yeah, go up the Higgy and come down.
No, people listening to this can't believe that. How damn seriously you want to run from soldiers in Tetron?
Yeah.
From Tetron. Well, I was going over the Higgy because as a recruit I had mastered the Higgy.
You understand?
So I knew they can catch me. But as I was about to do it, Zach and Drew started walking 2 war dogs coming wrong from near my room. Well, they're not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
It's when I went in the hospital. I leave to RP, stand up in the hospital, jump through casualty window and run down Charlotte Street.
Oh, yeah, man.
I did that.
Right.
And people won't understand, but you didn't know I wasn't studying no work, I was studying to get hit. That is what the craving was for.
It is.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Sheldon. Good morning to the host and to the lady there too.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Yes, seeing that you have the knowledge of making cars and whatever, I believe they should utilize you instead of order them from away. And what with the I believe it's a senior officer or a less senior officer who used to give probably the junior officers drugs to use. What did you all or anyone had reported it to the service that these things are happening, or is that person still in service or retired? Thank you. Because it's so bad to know that you're all going there innocently and was contaminated. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he died. He died. He was
he
discharged.
ever reported though?
No. Because stool in army, so it's only when Sheldon talk about it at the muster of the morning when the sergeant.
Right.
And I think he drew attention to himself eventually because he was eventually discharged.
Right.
Hello, good morning. 622-3937. And you can call us for Sheldon. Lynette Agarat said even their voices sound the same. And the thing about relapse, Ms. Bowen, you wanted to talk to the parent out there about relapse after this. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I am in tears.
Pardon?
Because I am in tears.
Oh.
Because I'm sitting here. My son went in as a reserve on the reserve side. And of course he was in training for a while. It could have been him, and then it would have been destroying him, destroying his family. I sit down here, I am so emotional this morning. I'm saying, it could have been you. And I know, Sheldon, because I live in St. James. I mean, it hurt in my heart, hurt in my God. Thanks.
All right, ma'am. Thank you
for
very
sharing
much.
that.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, God.
Morning.
Natasha.
Good morning.
And the lady, and to Sheldon.
Good morning.
You know what pains and it's hurtful, boy? People beautiful, young, innocent children going into these institutions with all the vim and vigor to serve the country, do well and things. And bam, you have this Lucifer sitting down inside here to contaminate and to destroy them. That is the hurtful thing. And then they leave the family now to pick up the pieces. And upon on the thing as vagrant and what have you, and get them into rehab and so on. The kind of pain that they give the parents when you send your children out. That is the part that's hurting us out here. And secondly, Mr. Sheldon, I used to see him by the traffic light every time. And I would tell him, I said, Sheldon, God asks for you. God, your friend God interested in you. And he'll watch me and smile, and he'll draw the pictures and so on. And, you give him a little tip. And so, because those pictures are beautiful. So I want to congratulate you, Gart and Natasha, and everybody there for a wonderful job as per usual. But it hurt when you send your children out and people out there waiting to contaminate them, boy. What do you do with these people, Gart and Natasha? What do you do with them? The upholders, the instigators. What do you do with them?
Well, in this case, he met his demise of his own accord. But I agree that with the first caller that he should have been reported. There should have been some mechanism within the institution to deal with individuals like that.
Yeah, morning. Hold 1 second. And somebody said it is, as the UNODC said, it is time to stigmatize the illicit drug market.
Yes.
And not the people who are harmed by it.
Yes.
And it's time we go after them. And as the lady said, the military back then in the 80s when I joined, they didn't know anything about the marijuana was around, yes. But you see, from the time cocaine hit, that the time weapons started disappearing, arms and ammunition, kit, all these things.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what was going on. So back then there was a zero tolerance policy.
Yeah.
And, And that was it. They catch you using, you're gone.
Yeah.
Because they were ignorant. This is why I could still share the love that I have for the military still, because they didn't give, it's not like they give me an order to use drugs and turn their back on us. I still decided on my own to use it.
Exactly.
And coerced to use it. So I couldn't hate them for that.
The hurtful thing about it, I always wanted that. I knew what I wanted from since I was a little youngster. I always wanted to be a soldier. The soldier, I was supposed to spend the rest of my life in the military. I tell you, until time to retire.
Same here. Same here. Hello, good morning.
Morning, God. Morning, Natasha.
Morning.
Morning, Sketch Boy. It's a very emotional time for me. The whole morning I'm crying with this program here because Sketch had done a portrait for me from the Kanda village. Sketch. So I used to be all around that area.
Yeah.
But I can't put my hands on it again. And this is a testimony that God is real, brother. And man will give up on you. And as he keep telling some of the guys that knew me, God, from a baby who are on drugs and St. James, that human beings will give up on you, but God never. He never does. And Sketches are an example of that today. And brother, you stay strong, brother, because this is a touching and uplifting for me. Right? Knowing you personally, no, I in the present circumstance, what I would say is a good testimony for me and Norega. I hope that people, right, a former soldier, a national hockey player, I hope that the powers that be and his batch and people, his family and people who love him can reach out and try to help him in this trying time. Because all of us will backslide sometime in life. We don't know what around the corner waiting on us. So I hope that people, I heard that his name came up, God, Norega, and I hope that people, reach out to him. Right? Because they didn't want, the people who close to me didn't want to tell me. I heard it from someone. Right? But as I say, boy, Sketch Boy, it's an emotional time for my brother. You stay strong by the grace of God, Father. God is good.
All the time. And for those of you who remember, those of you who have a sketch, now you have another week to prepare it, to send it for us. WhatsApp it to me so we can show it off next Sunday, God's willing. All right? Please do that. I want to, again, we want to keep sketch a son. If it's one son, we have to save one at a time. We started with sketch here this Sunday, and let us continue to do so. Hello, good morning. Call, I'll give you all a call and just get some encouragement from him, please, to stay where he is today and continue on the straight and narrow.
Hello?
Good morning.
Morning. I want to get stretch only because my father was a cocaine addict and he died now, God rest his soul. And he always say he's a recovering addict.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to get stretch, all the strength. Stay strong, brother, because someday you can never tell. Because my father relapsed so much time. He went New Life Ministry, Rescue Mission, this, that, the other, and relapse. Till that time, I was so fed up and I cannot believe why this man would like this thing so much. And he used to, I used to call him, to become Nina thing. He was sleeper brothers. And he used to be at St. Joseph all around the area. And what happened? I remember a day, I was about 19 and I actually stopped out to go and buy something to try it. And something I stopped out the Maxwell Garden to go and walk in the yard and meet a brethren who stand up there, but he wasn't drunk anything. He talk, and I talk to him. I didn't tell him not more than I just jump back in Maxwell and go up the road. And I don't know why. Up to now, me and my brother, none of us do smoke. We don't smoke cigarette, we don't smoke more weed. And I tell him, this, when he talk about the cocaine, I talk about when the man, and he explain how he see drug and the thing, I remember seeing my father piping and seeing that evil. And watch me, God, you see, people don't know. People don't know, watch me. You see that song with Ajala, the white horse?
Yeah.
I remember on evenings, my mother come from work here because she does domestic work, and we sit down there and in the room smoking, and that song going on, and the place getting dark. And I talk right now, and I keep like to cry because I picture in that, and my father fight that till he leaves die. Hey, brothers, have a good day.
Bless my brother. Yeah, my brother, stay strong, brother. Jacqueline Holford said, congrats on your journey. May God continue to work. He began in you, even with relapses. He brought you to this point. Give praise to him daily and several times a day.
And of course, your sister, Alicia. Love you to the moon,
Alicia
big brother.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Trojan, thanks.
Trojan. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, morning, God.
Morning.
Aberdeen.
Oh.
This is Muffler.
Muffy, are you there?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, boy, Lance.
Shortman put a video B for us while we talking. Go ahead.
Muffy, are you there?
Yeah, man, Muffler.
Good boy. Long time me hear about you, boy, my brethren, boy. What? That my real Solia, boy.
Old Solia.
Oh, you know, long me here. See. We see me, boy.
I good man. I glad to see you, man.
By real glad to hear from you, boy.
Muffler.
Yeah, boy, they Muffy there.
I just touch a little bit on the plane.
Yeah, boy, Muffy.
You remember giving me one of those planes when I leave Frederick Street in Crep?
Yeah.
You remember Skeeter?
I must remember Skeeter, and Skeeter daughter's a police now.
Yeah, man.
That is your daughter too?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so happy to see you, man.
I'm really glad to hear your voice, boy, Muffy, boy. We had a boy, I would like to see you too.
Hey, London.
You're a good one, boy.
Before you go,
man, I won't take up much time and thing because you know we have a lot to chat about and thing, but
what about Garth Allen, London?
I haven't seen Garth for a while, you know, Garth.
Wow.
Yeah, because I do belong in the Port of Spain side and thing, but Aberdeen and I more than Garth come a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Abaz?
Yeah, my boy.
Continue, man. I know you had the talent. I know we met when I was by the Express doing a little freelancing and all that good stuff and thing.
Yeah.
But we got to bounce up physically.
Somehow, boy.
Also, thanks for calling, brother. Thanks for calling.
I watch you on the Facebook, the man, it's the same thing, but you don't watch that belly, man. You don't walk
Leave the man with the belly. It's all right.
But that part of recovery, boy. No way get me from that.
Yes.
Before I go, man, you continue to do what you're doing there, man.
Yeah, bless him.
At least.
So next week, I just said it's part 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, or it's still to be confirmed.
No, definitely.
Muffy.
Yeah, man.
What about
yes, brother.
What about Martino boy Gregory?
Yeah. So all the best.
You didn't hear.
Muffy, what about Gregory Martino?
I saw Martino late last year, you know. But
right.
I said before I'm in the east and thing, and I'm inside.
Right.
I haven't seen a whole from them flags for a while.
Right.
But I must say, in Aberdeen this morning and hearing that history with more to come.
Yeah,
will make my Sunday and my week to come.
So here now, Muffy, where do the boat? You still at the sailboat at the day?
No, it's a plane.
Okay.
Whenever that plane thing I've been talking about there, he made that for me and see leaving this with you.
Yeah.
Going back to London Street in St. James and
right.
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I know the whole history, you know, but you have it more pinpoint than I. But in Frederick Street there, we really had a nice thing going, and as I said before, it's nice to see bounce back.
Yeah.
And as Gypsy say, when you fall down, pick yourself up and go out. So all the best about Aberdeen and you guys.
All right, London. Take care, brother. Nice hearing from you.
Yes, man.
According to
yeah, man. Bless up, Muffy. Bless up.
Patrick Raphael on Facebook, he said Garth Allen died.
Garth Allen died?
Apparently.
Oh, shucks. Hey, Raphael, thanks, boy. Wow. Wow. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Let me start by saying I love my country.
Happy morning, brother. Morning.
Morning. What a discussion this morning. This discussion is telling me that there is hope.
Yes.
Hope for anyone who can get in mind, but most importantly, get a support. It reminded me of a policeman who is always on our Peter Avenue, a former policeman, I should say. He ended up in the drugs, and he picks a bottle all up our Peter Avenue and all around St. James and Port of Spain. He's always up and down, busy picking up bottles. And I think when he left the police, he was a corporal or something like that. But he today, because of drugs, is like that. And that reminded me years ago when the parents and his family had given up to this young man in San Juan from the Prisca Road area there. And I went and I looked for him. He used to stay in the market in the Crazy. And I went in the market in Crazy because that's where a lot of pipers used to be. And I found him. He had a big boil on his stomach. He had like a hernia, swelled up big. And I took him, I talked to him. I said, boy, you got to stop this. You grew up with me. You got to stop this. He said, boy, I don't know what to do now. I took him and I climbed to a place, I think it was on Dundon Street. Was there a place on Dundon Street that used to help people long time? It was a place in town that used to help people with a guy who had a place there. I took him there and he spent some time there.
Tambi.
Tambi. And after he came out and he was singing, and it fell back again. I took him to, the mother, the daughter, the sister called out to me again because he had given up. I took him to Mount St. Benedict, came out, he was good, get job and things like that working. And then he fell back. I think now he's back good again because that support is so important, as the case may be. But the strength of mind to overcome it is so important. I pray God that this gentleman stay on top, understand that at the end of the day, you can be example for so many others who can find a way. It's really good to listen to this program today, and I thank God for my own life. I grew up a Seventh Adventist, and because of that, I was never encouraged. I was encouraged by other people, but I never, because of that religious background I had. So I pray people to find God, but most importantly, find support. Sir, God, my lady, fantastic program. Sir, be an example to others. Stay strong by the grace of Almighty God.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harvey Boy. Thank you so much. And we're looking at some pictures now, Sketch. These are...
They're my two sons.
Those are two sons?
Yeah, I have another one. A bigger one than two of them. And a big daughter and a little daughter.
Right. And I think we have a picture of your daughter here too.
Yeah.
When she got married. Yes.
Yeah, that passed already.
If you're just joining us, folks, you missed a lot.
Look the flying field here. That's the flying field.
Right. You're listening to Dependency. We have in studio Miss Maureen Bowen, psychologist, and of course, recovering person in Sheldon, Aberdeen. Most of you may know him as Sketch. Those of you would have interacted with him on the streets in St. James at Mokrapo traffic lights when he drew you. And most of you would still have a portrait people sent us, and I would like you to send us so that next week we can show them in total, all right? And we could have Miss Bowen as well. Get you, the parent, to understand more about addiction and why is it that you must keep trying. Hello, good morning. I know some of you ready to give up on your addict, but, you know, if we in the studio here could do it, your addict can do it too. This is the picture I'm talking about. Sheldon Sunday.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Where's the sleep, smoke and Sketch?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. That's right by Silver Star there.
Good morning to the Sinclair, the lady, and Sketch. Sketch boy, you can work yourself. Use positive thinking and mind power. Never to go back on that journey again. Because, as the lady explained, there are many triggers. There are many things that triggers the dopamine, alcohol, food, sex, and worst of all, the cocaine rock. So, you have been there. You overcome it better. Fight it. Be positive so that you don't have to go back. Yeah, because the only way that an addict could stop is when he decides now's the time to stop. It's a personal decision, and sometimes we have to use tough love. Tough love. Don't get them no money because the money is to go and buy rocks. Talk to them, warn them, explain to them, and one day they will come to their own realization that this is making sense. So, Sketch Boy, stand firm. We are proud of you. Walk this on our road, and I hope that other addicts would listen to your story and change their ways, because the end is destruction. Good program, Gat, and Natasha, and one love as usual.
Thank you very much, sir. And we have a special person to speak with in a while. After this call, we'll speak with the person. Hello. Right. So Sheldon, you see the support that you're getting so far, right?
And guys, I want to say to parents or persons who are in support of persons who are addicted to a substance, that willpower and shaming will not stop the use of a substance. Because I think many times, and that's the importance of going to meetings, and certainly to understand what treatment is all about. Because I think, people think that this is something which is curable. But in fact, it's not curable. What it is that it's treatable. Yeah. Just like diabetes and heart problems. So it's chronic and it's of the brain, so that it is treatable. And also, a lot of what we sow into the brain is what will be realized. So, we write our own script, but a lot of our scripts are governed by material that we would have inherited from those persons around us and those persons who we trust and those persons who we feel as important.
Ms. Bowen, we have a special person on the line here right now. You may recognize this voice. Hello, good morning, sir.
Hey, God, how are you?
Not bad at all, sir. I don't even want to call your name. Let's chat. How are you doing?
I am great. I'm really good. I just wanted to, I'm very emotional all morning also. And I want to just tell Sketch how proud I am of him. And we're going to do our best to not leave him and not leave him alone. But what I'm really calling for, God, and I didn't hear you talk about it. Well, first I should also thank all the support staff from Maureen to Lily, to a lot of people who have really worked with Sketch in the last few years. But I really want to big up the Rebirth House guards. And I really think that you guys need to use this program to talk to Trinidad and talk to the powers, talk to the people of Trinidad and get more support for Rebirth so that we could support more people, more people that need the help. And I just wanted to reach out to everybody and say that, Sketch, you're really an example this morning. I was worried about you going online, but you touched me. And I really love you, and I want you to keep getting better. So we'll keep talking about this. But God bless you all and the work you're all doing.
Mr. Haddad, folks, that is Mr. Haddad. Before you go, I just want to say to you, where people turn their back on us, people like you never did. And what you did for Sheldon, you treat Sheldon like Sheldon is your own child. And because you really love him, and I want to say from us here too that we love you too, Mr. Haddad. Amen. God bless you. God bless you and Lily and your support staff who stuck with Sheldon when you all should have kicked him to the curb so many times. I thank you, and may God continue to bless you and the hardcore group of companies.
But we need the support, God. We need the support of people. The Birdhouse need the support.
Yes.
And you guys are just amazing in what you do. So don't stop doing what you do. It's really a vocation, and God bless you all.
God bless you too, sir. Thank you very much for your call. For taking our call.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you
very much.
See, you make a big man cry here this morning, you know, Sheldon. The man crying, you know. This is hard-nosed, hardcore Robert Haddad. You make him cry this morning. Understand that, you know. This man take all kind of pressure, and you listen to me. The spotlight on you now, you know. And we're bringing you back here next Sunday, God's willing, to continue this journey, to give people out there hope, Sheldon.
Yes.
There are a lot of people in this country who saw you on the street and they know where you came from. And looking at you in studio here now this morning, Sheldon, you're giving people out there hope, you know, for their addict, you know. Not so, Ms. Bowen?
Correct. Very much so. And I think one of the things that you and all of you who are working in this field must recognize is that it's not what you say, but what you do. Because people see, and we lead by example. You can tell people anything you want.
Yes.
But when people actually see that it's possible for this to be happening and that you could take up your mantle in spite of all that you've been experiencing and will continue to experience, because one of the things about addiction is right at your fingertip. It's always there. Always ready, always triggering, because and the triggers that you had before are not necessarily the triggers that you will have in the future. And that's insightful. So that's why you're always working. And we simplify this whole thing about always recovering, never recovered, but that's a big job. That's a real big task, because that you are like moving targets. And a lot of what ails all of us, really, we just don't know when it will rear its head and what to put in place to be able to support us.
What life will throw at you.
It's exact.
We take one more for Sheldon. Hello, Sheldon, before you wrap up, folks, this is part one. You will hear from Sheldon again next Sunday, God's willing. Good morning. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello?
Hi, morning.
This is Auntie Betty Sheldon.
Oh gosh, Auntie Betty.
Yes, Auntie Betty, we want your number again.
Long. Auntie Betty, you see, what happened? I lost your number. Give me we organize that.
Auntie Betty, call me please now. Give me your number because I didn't save your number for Sheldon.
Yeah. Because Sheldon, I try my best to get on to you.
He lost his
all
phone.
the time, calling, I get one with that.
Right.
And that gives me a number.
Yes, but
Sheldon,
that phone
God
lost.
bless.
I lost that phone, Auntie Betty.
Don't worry, I will get your number off air.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
but what I want to say this morning,
yeah.
I get hooked up with Auntie June, Auntie Helen, Junior.
Good.
All of us
Okay.
will help you, Sheldon. We will. Kingsley feels so good now to see you turn your life around.
Oh,
and you look just like the Kingsley, our brother. As your grandmother used to say, grandson, keep it up. Keep it up. We love you. We bless you. We magnify you, Sheldon. God is great.
All the time.
God is great, Sheldon. Thanks to God and Natasha and Mr. Hadid.
Hada.
Okay?
Yes.
So we'll hook up again.
Yes. Okay, Auntie Betty, God bless you.
God bless you too. Love you.
And Uncle
Keep
Terry.
up the good work. You are mighty.
Okay.
Thank you, love. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Auntie Betty. Thanks a lot for calling.
Bye-bye.
And Uncle Terry and everybody.
Yeah.
And one more, guys. One more. Let's go quickly. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hold on.
Not for too long, eh?
Please, we just have a minute to go.
We just have a minute to go before major news at 12. So, folks, we want to thank you so much for...
Tasha.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good day, people.
Pardon?
I don't know when they're going to give you all maybe the highest award in Trinidad. I tell it, unrequited and unrecognized support of the community. I am also emotionally moved by what I'm hearing this morning. And I know the effort you have put out, you and your wife, that. And I wish you and your wife, not God blessings, I don't know how to describe it.
We understand, sir. We understand.
And I wanted to ask you a question. The question I wanted to ask you, how do people really turn to drug? I mean, what is the reason for somebody going and turning to drug?
Right. We'll talk about that next week.
Yes,
Yes, Sunday, please go. So stand by, get your people to listen. We'll be here again next week.
And one more thing, say no to it. Remember, everybody who haven't touched it yet, say no to it. Say no to a drug. The choice is yours now, not after.
Thank you. Folks, Ms. Bowen, Sheldon.
Thank you for having us.
You were wonderful, and you helped a lot of people.
So
and we're going to continue doing that, God willing, next
God's
Sunday,
willing,
please,
next,
God.
yes.
To get people and the addicts out there to understand it can fix.
Yep.
We can turn it around.
Yep.
Tash?
Thank you very much to everybody who joined us on Facebook and YouTube. Remember to share your sketches. Take a picture of your sketch and share it on iDependency's Facebook page for us, please. We want everybody to see.
Yes. And at least Hardcore have somebody they could use for Christmas as a Santa Claus with this belly we see.
Oh, Lord.
Annette, nice picture. Look at Annette's picture, right? That's a sketch you did, you see? That's a portrait you did for somebody. Folks, we gone. Next Sunday, God's willing. Take care. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad. This is the most
on
influential
episode 27 of Eye on Dependency.